Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Molegna5. Subscribe please. If you like my video, click on like and share. Thank you. I would like to present the following reflections with you. Let's start. Optimism under the storm. Sometimes we think that optimism is inherent in the boom season, when everything seems to be fine. The pleasant feeling is shared, when there is nothing or almost nothing to worry about. The smile floats at the slightest provocation. However, in these cases, optimism is the consequence of the environment conducive to human development. But what happens when the context becomes dark and chaotic? Inevitably everything goes out: hope, strength, and above all the will. Pessimism spreads quickly. Even more than the discomfort itself, it causes unscrupulous beings to take advantage of the momentary decline to profit and benefit towards personal interests. The suffering of the weakest comes to the background because what matters most is the push on the predation of resources at the cost of anything, including human lives. Our society has suffered great catastrophes throughout history, and even so, we have not finished learning the lesson. What has to happen to understand that we are responsible for generating sustainable alternatives to continue living in accordance with our world? The logical question would be, why are we still integrated as a society? The answer, in my opinion, is the starting point of this reflection. Optimism also prevails in the worst individual and collective moments. We could not recognize ourselves as human beings without this survival engine. As bitter as our existence may seem, there are always optimistic flashes even in the most miserable passages. The famous phrase that says, "You can't be worse," could mean the turning point to overcome yourself or die without fighting. Optimism is not an isolated or forceful concept. Rather, it is strengthened by solidarity, prudence, and empathy with each other. It is about bringing feelings to actions. It all adds up. Any gesture of attention to one's neighbor is appreciated with the soul, and the heart is put in the middle to try to reciprocate. It is no coincidence that the earth revolves around a star, symbol of the future. When there is nothing but desolation, there will always be a light under our chest that causes us to hope for a much better tomorrow than today. Since nothing is easy in life, optimism also carries a risk that can be great, very great, that of frustration. If we lose the connection with reality and move drastically from the objective to the subjective, it is easy to predict defeat much earlier to start the battle. Our countries, each with its own trajectory, forged themselves with an optimistic people who saw in the conformation of their structures and institutions the possibility of a fairer life. Today more than ever, we face a profound change in the conception of today's civilization. Only by looking at our reality with cooperative and proactive eyes can we face the reconstruction that lies ahead. I am sure that we will not restart from scratch or completely fragmented. The memory of those who are no longer among us and the effort of those who sacrifice themselves today will be the step that will not let us fall. positive thinking playing in our favor. When we have a time alone, it is often considered an ideal time for meditation. It is not always so because the pending issues of the present, the past, and the future begin to invade our mental space. There are few people who are trained to reflect on themselves in a systematic and profitable way. However, the vast majority do not plan to spend a moment a day to themselves. It is obvious that they do it. The question is how they do it. We could divide this individual field into two aspects, the positive and the negative side, or as some usually say, observe the glass half full or half empty. Depending on how we are doing in life, the balance can be loaded on one side or the other. Of course there are intermediate points, but let's focus our attention on both ends. There are some theories that give thought a superhuman power, that is, that allow the individual to trace the root of their destiny, although this, at first seemed impossible. Who has not heard of people or characters who are famous for their successes? They started with all odds against, now everyone is worthy of admiration and respect. When asked how they did it, the most frequent answers speak about perseverance, creativity, hunger to get ahead, momentum and many other virtues. However, from my point of view, there is always a positive thought behind a great man or a great woman. The idea seems corny or old-fashioned, because it is also true that there are hundreds or thousands of people who daily try to see the nice side of things and have not achieved success and do not even see it as feasible. It is necessary to limit, then, that success is not the same for everyone. It has to do, in my opinion, with the degree of satisfaction and recognition of the effort that each one gives to the tangible and intangible things that happen to us while we live. In the material world in which the world's leaders try to locate us, we are told over and over again that one is worth for what he has. If you have little, then you already know the answer. Those who refuse to accept such a reality are convinced that this postulate is nowhere near the true value of people, always remembering that human dignity is above any material wealth, however great or brilliant it may be. The good news is that positive thinking is something we can voluntarily adopt or modify on our own, with the support of or despite our loved ones. Storms may not be as severe if a good dose of positive thinking is applied to them.